Hey guys, what's going on? So I was watching this documentary the other day about the library. Ever since I saw that movie, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, I was like, oh my God, all these years I've been pronouncing library wrong. Anyway, if you saw the movie, you know what I'm talking about. The Library of Alexandria. Alexandria. The Library of Alexandria. And it was huge. If you guys don't know about it, it was a huge library. I'll put the documentary in the comments so you guys can look at it or watch it. But basically, it was this library in the Middle East somewhere. They think it was like right in the Mediterranean, Egypt. They don't know exactly where. They think that there is a piece of a building that used to be part of this library. There's drawings of it, and it's written about in historical documents. And that's how they know that it existed. And there's paintings of it. It was set ablaze. Somebody set it on fire and it burned down. But it was this grand library where people would bring books and knowledge from all over the world, and people would go there to study. And it was interesting because one of the historians in the video was talking about how it's kind of probably like one of the closest things that you can get like to government or research grant during that time. But it seemed like, from what I've heard, it was just a wealth of knowledge, and it was burned down. And I've heard that there were texts and certain knowledge that could be very valuable today that is lost because it was in that library. Now, fast forward today, especially with the pandemic going on, it's really interesting because, you know, why did the libraries close, right? Liquor stores are open, but libraries are closed. And one of my friends and I were talking, and she was like, I bet you they're going to try and start, you know, like erasing history through the library. And I was like, yeah, I can see that happening. Like, you know, erasing microfiche, just throwing it away, just burning it, or not necessarily burning it because it would probably cause a ruckus, but like, you know, just throwing it away, throwing books away. Like, and then the librarians wouldn't know. They're like, oh, well, we have it on file, but we don't seem to have it. It seems to be lost. Have you ever gone to the library and you look for a book and they're like, oh, we did have it like a few years ago, but we don't know what happened, you know? So I swear, like soon after she was saying that, she was like, she found an article and how they were talking about in Chicago, they found all of these books that were in perfectly good condition just in the trash, all right? So, I mean, come on, man. Like, they're gonna be people, these sinister demons from hell have a plan. Like, they don't need to have big old, like, bonfire book burnings anymore. They can just do shit like that. They can just throw stuff away during the pandemic. They can just erase stuff off of the internet. They can just have Google, you know, hide searches. They can pay people to take down pages. In the pandemic movie that I was talking about the other day, you know, they were talking about how Google already does that. They've had whistleblowers come out through Project Veritas talking about how Google blacklists people, right? If you're a content creator and you're talking the truth, you know how you're already getting blacklisted, right? They're just erasing stuff off the page. And what they do, and then if you watch Millie Weaver's movie Shadowgate, you know, they talk about how they do that too. And what they do is like, they'll take data down, but they'll replace it with data, right? I've had at least 2 journalist friends of mine, you know, that were mentioned in Wikipedia that were told totally written, you know, lies about them. And they went in to try and change their own biographies about them. And they were locked out and they were told no. But they're like, but that's my life. And Wikipedia's like, we don't care. This is the truth now. You know, so truth is being manipulated, history is being erased all the time, all right? And, you know, it's like you think of the book burnings and the banned book list and all that stuff, but they're still doing that today. And, you know, something I would really like to get to, I don't know if I have time, but I'm always talking about this book called Dissolving Illusions, which I really just, when I read this book, I feel like I should be, like they should be sponsoring me because I talk about this book all the time. But it's by Roman Bistronic and Suzanne Humphreys. And they basically go through the medical history of vaccination. And they have all these references. You can probably still find some of them, but because medical journals have existed at least since the 1700s, maybe even before that, how they basically just erase history. And they're doing the same shit they're doing now. They're basically any doctors that spoke out against vaccinations, that had proof that vaccinations at the time were killing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, they were ostracized, they were laughed at. The people that had the money, that were sponsoring the medical community and the doctors, they had the power to rewrite history, basically. And the doctors also were being paid extra money to vaccinate people. Same shit, right? It was a different process, but they were given extra. They called it surgery, some kind of surgery, or I forgot the other word that they used, but they were getting paid extra, but like royalty and other, to vaccinate people. And, back then, early part of the 1900s, there were always, and probably even before this, but I think it was like the Royal Commission on Population Control or something like that. Oh, God, I'm rambling, so I don't remember exactly what it was, but there have always been eugenicists that have been trying to cull the population, and they've been figuring out a way how to do it, and they've been experimenting on Africans, and usually the brown people get the experiment first. And then, they're trying to kill all of us, believe you me, okay? If you're not in their club, they're trying to kill all of us. They want to, but I'm saying, just all the research I've done, they always experiment on people of color. Whenever there's like a hurricane or some natural disaster, they rush in and vaccinate those people. Not food, not water, not, but vaccinating them is the first thing, right? What was I going to say? The dengue epidemic, or the dengue fever situation that happened in the Philippines. Bill Gates was developing this dengue fever vaccine, and, it was... supposed to help with dengue fever, and then they found out that it actually gave people dengue fever and primed them to get dengue fever. Actually primed them, so they got the vaccine, and it actually made them more susceptible to getting dengue fever. But this is the thing. This shit keeps happening. It keeps happening. It's not just one time. So I tell a lot of people this, and they're like, oh, it's just that one time. No, just since the fucking smallpox vaccine, this shit keeps happening. Oh, we'll give them a vaccine to get, to help them from getting smallpox, but then they get vaccine and then they get smallpox, right? Polio, it's called the Qatar incident, where 40,000 people got polio from the vaccine, okay? Now, even in India and Africa, people are getting polio from the vaccine to this day, okay? To this day, there's documented evidence of this. The Corbett Report did a really good breakdown on this because... when he talked about it, there was somebody, one of the fake-ass fact checkers, that's been debunked. But they just used basically ad hominem attacks to debunk the claim instead of actually going to the source of people from India that actually did the study that's been published and that actually has proof. And actually, people that have, video footage and stuff that have gone of these girls that actually lined up to get these vaccines, and their lives are fucking destroyed now because of these fucking vaccines. They're paralyzed. They can't have kids, right? At least 7 countries, the HCG hormone has appeared in vaccines, okay? And then if you go back, the World Health Organization actually wrote a paper talking about how they wanted to create an anti-fertility vaccine with the hormone HCG. And if you don't know what HCG is, when you take a pregnancy test, your body tests for the hormone HCG. So when you take a pee test, you pee on the stick. When you become pregnant, your body produces a lot of this hormone, right? So you pee on the stick, and the stick says you're pregnant based on if it can detect this hormone in your body. Now, vaccines work, if you believe the vaccines work the way that we are told that they work, is that you inject yourself with the antigen or something, and your body is supposed to recognize it and fight against it and reject it. Now, if you're injecting somebody with HCG, when you get pregnant and your body starts to produce HCG, it's going to miscarry. It's going to cause you to have a miscarriage because your body recognizes HCG as an invader. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I think that's the most simplest way I can explain it in this short video that I have. So anyway, going back to the World Health Organization, they talk about in this paper that that's what they're going to do. They're going to create a fertility vaccine using HCG. Now, it's been found in at least 7 places: Mexico, Nigeria, Philippines, I don't know if I can I know when I sat down one time and looked at it, it was like 7 places. But why is Nigeria, did I say Nigeria? It keeps happening. It keeps fucking happening. Now, isn't it interesting, the same people that are invested in this shit are the same people who also talks about that there are too many people on the planet? And the thing that's really disturbing to me about this pandemic is the fact that, you know, they're through brainwashing, through this whole global warming shit. And as a side note, I believe that pollution is a problem. I believe that that we are littering the planet and stuff, but that's not global warming. It's basically saying that there are just too many people on the planet, no matter what we do, and that human beings are a threat to the planet. And it really desensitizes people to you know, other people dying. Because if you hear about all these elderly people dying in nursing homes, and you hear about all these people dying in other countries, and you're not personally affected by it, and you buy into this global warming bullshit, and you buy into the fact that human beings are a disease, you know, it really, you know, it desensitizes you, and it makes people not care. And this is another thing that makes people complacent. Because I hear people say that, oh, there are too many people on the planet, when they live in a crowded city that they're dependent on, you know, and they don't have any independence, right? They're dependent on government. It seems like a lot of these types that buy into this are people that are dependent on government to give them stuff, yet they have this huge disconnect with nature. They're not connected to nature, and they don't understand how nature works. And then they also buy into a lot of the consumerism and the AI stuff. And it just seems like to me that there's a plan to disconnect human beings from their natural habitat, and thus making them very complacent. And then it's going to push them into AI. You know, it's going to push them over there, because if they don't know how to hunt, they don't know how to fish, they don't know how to grow food, they don't know, you know, how the ecosystem works, then they're so easily manipulated and led to the AI side, because they think that AI is going to make their life easier. But then they're giving their power over to people. They're giving their power over to people that don't have their best interest in mind. I think that makes sense. Okay. Okay, this is gonna get too long. Maybe I can talk more about it this week. This week, like I said, I'm gonna be talking about the course that I'm trying to sell, and that would be the first part of the show. And then the other half, I wanna talk about solutions. I had a really cool guy, I think his name was Christian, that called in, and he said he wanted to talk about solutions. So let's talk about solutions. I'll still maybe bitch a little bit and rant, because that feels good to get stuff out your chest. But for the most part, I really wanna talk about solutions. Maybe I'll think of a topic, and I'll stick to it this week. But what are some solutions that we can start doing to survive this apocalypse crazy shit? All right, guys, please join my email list. Please, please, please. That's the thing I want you to do most right now. I really want to have a way to keep in touch with you when this channel goes down, because I think it's just inevitable at this point. And I'm okay with that. I'm fine. I know that I'm playing on their territory. And you know, that's fine. We'll just find some other way to navigate the matrix. You know, it'd be no big deal. Subscribe to all my other backup channels, BitChute. I'm on Parla at the Real Truther Talk, but I haven't really set up yet. I have most of my stuff on BitChute. I'm just trying to figure out which ones I want to put a lot of time and energy in, because it does take a lot of time to upload to every single social media platform. Okay, yeah, I guess that's it. I will talk to you later. Peace, truth, love, bye-bye. Mwah.